Okay, so I left Philly in '91 to go to Berklee for 2 years. I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, and I realized I was ready to leave and do some other stuff. So I was like, let's go. Packed all my stuff. We jumped in the van, went down to Birmingham. And I stayed there for maybe a few months. We did some shows in Atlanta. Never knew anything about Atlanta. And we came here and played, and the reception that we got was just crazy.
Of course.
The scene was killing, like TLC, Goody Mob, all LaFace Records. Everything was like booming. Dallas Austin was killing, Jermaine Dupri, Organized Noise. So I was meeting all these cats while I was coming here to play. And they were like, yo, come do this session with us, come hang out with us. So Atlanta embraced me quick. So I was like, all right, I'm moving to Atlanta.
I feel
2 hours away from Birmingham. Packed up my stuff again, rolled out, had my drums, and I came here and saw like the scene and I saw what was happening because it was brewing from the ground up. It came a time where Jonathan Moffett, when he was in the band, had to leave, and I think he was going to play with George Michael or something like that. So it was in the middle of the Janet tour, that Janet record with the hand on the boobs. It was in the middle of that tour that the guys, they needed another drummer. And this was all fake because I hadn't had a big gig like that yet. I was up and coming and my name was getting out there and, slowly but surely people were finding out about me. But I hadn't been out in the scene that big yet, So there were cats in LA, anywhere that could have done that gig. But it was my time, I could say. So they said, man, this is cat in Atlanta now, Lil John, he's from Philly, y'all should check him out because he's definitely up and coming, and I think he would fit for this. So Sam pushed for me, Omar Hakeem pushed for me. So they hit Omar, they were like, so what do you think about Lil John? He was like, I was at his house when they called him, and Omar sat me down at the table, he said, hey man, Rex Salas and them just called me, and they were asking me about you and just trying to see how I felt about you as far as playing with this Janet gig, and I was like, what? He was like, yeah, man, they called me to see how, what I had to say about you. And I told them they need to hit you. And I had to learn the show in between the tour. They had like a few weeks off to rehearse with me. Janet shows up, I meet her, I'm nervous as hell. She came up to me, we talked, she's like, so what song would you like to go over first and all that kind of stuff? I'm like, we could do the whole show. And she was like, you know the whole show? I was like, yeah. I had never played with a click track live like that, I'd never had in-ears before, so all of this stuff was new to me. They got me in-ears, they, plugged me up, and they were like, okay, this is what you're gonna hear. I had never heard like clicks and all that, and counts and all that kind of stuff, but I had always practiced to a drum machine, I had great timing, so I was like, okay, this is cool, so I hear 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, so I was like, okay, never played to pre-recorded tracks and vocals and all that stuff before. So I had to find out where I fit, in the lock. And I could just see it in people's face and even her face. And she was just like, she was happy,
I love it.
So I stayed with her in the course of 24 years. I've been with Jan. Two tours that I couldn't do. One of the tours was the All For You tour, and I was out with George Duke at the time.
Nice.
And so Roger Davies, her manager, called me and was like, Little John, we're getting ready to gear up for another tour. I'm like, I had just told George that I could do this run with him, which was shorter than her run and everything, less money, the whole nine. I was like, so I called George. I'm like, George, man, please give me your blessings on this. Like, Janet's going back out. This was the second tour. After I had done the Janet tour, All For You was second. And no. All For You was third. Janet tour, Velvet Rope, which was, so that was 98. And I did that tour, and then All For You was around 2003, something like that. So I asked George, I said, man, can you give me your blessings, man? I know I told you I could do this run with you, but, she's going out. She asked me if I can come back. And he's like, John, I've been through so many situations, he said this, where I've had bigger opportunities and all this kind of stuff, in the middle of something that I committed myself to. And he said, I've always tried to, well, not tried, but he did. He always honored his commitment. And he's like, that's what you need to do too. I called Roger back. Roger, I can't do it. He's like, all right, well, we're going to have to audition some drummers. I'm like, don't worry about auditioning. Call my boy Brian. Because he had done the Velvet Rope tour with us, with Usher.
Oh, nice.
Usher opened up that tour with us. So Brian heard us play every night, and once you hear another band play every night, you know their show. So I'm like, he already knows the stuff already. He's been out with us, all that time, so he knows what's up. And then I put my stamp of approval on him. I know he's gonna kill it.
Yeah.
So Roger's like, okay, if that's what you feel, cool. We won't do no auditions. We'll just call him, So that's how Brian did All For You. So then after that, there was number ones came, I think, after that. And I was doing the Monique show. I had the contract with that, so I couldn't leave,
right.
And Big Jim, rest in peace to him too, he called me for that. And so, I miss doing All For You as well. But then after that, then I got a call. Actually, we did one more tour in between that, was with Adam. We got Adam in there, Adam Blackstone, the MD.
Nice.
And it was just me, Adam, and Daniel Jones. Right before she started that tour and said, John, I think I want to go out with just you and a DJ.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I mean, because at first she really wasn't going to take no band. And I was like, that's kind of whack,
Yeah.
But she was trying to go for like a dancer's show.
Gotcha.
It wasn't about the band. So we finally convinced her, at least take a trio out, and we'll put all the other stuff in the box.
Yeah.
So she was cool with that. She was like, okay. And they were looking for an MD, and they were like, so we need a new MD. I'm like, y'all need to call my boy Adam, from Philly. And they went and saw him with Kanye, so she had an idea to see what kind of stuff he was doing. Adam was already killing production and stuff for a live show like that. I'll never forget the day that Ray called me in to do that record.
Yeah.
It was just me and him, and he had half of the song programmed already. It was just timpanis, and it was the boom, dum, dum. Chance played piano.
Yeah.
Dum, there was a click going.
Yeah.
Tempi. That's all it was. And so he was like messing around with a beat and everything. He was like, yo, play a little bit and see what you feel on this, whatever. So we were doing like some little, Outcast kind of hip hop beat, but like a little light. Just simple. And I was like, man, we should like step it up a little bit. He was like, what you hearing? So I just said, play it, record this.
Yeah.
So I started, I was like, we should have like some Phil Collins type.
Yeah.
Yes. Boom, boom, cuts, boom. And he was in the studio like, that's it. So I might have done like 2 takes of that.
Nice.
And he was like, that's it, man. Ridiculous. We had Slum Village opening up, Talib Kweli, we had Mos Def, we had High Tech. It was like the hippest tour, I would say, like for our generation. Spanky and Jeff Lee Johnson were playing guitar at that time. Pino was there, Questlove, Nars Jones was playing guitar as well. They had 3 guitars at one point, and then Spanky had passed away, so then Nars and Jeff Lee kept it going.
Wow, man.
But man, that tour, because that was the highlight of D'Angelo's career too, was that Voodoo record. I mean, you know how you be on tour and you see a group play every night, and then some nights you're like, I'm gonna go and just go hang out somewhere. Every night I was in the house like, Devil's Pie. Michael Jackson called me after I'd done this session with him in the studio with Brad Buxter, his MD at the time. We had a studio at his house. But Michael was in New York, and Brad called me and was like, hey, man, we want you to play on this song, but Michael's not here. He's in New York, but he's going to watch you from New York. We're going to do a satellite thing, because back then we didn't have the technology like we have now.
Yeah.
But they had a thing where they could do a satellite thing at the same time. So he had a camera watching me, and I could see him through a video screen or whatever.
Oh, nice.
Because he had already seen me play on the Velvet Rope tour with Janet. So he was already like, I want Lil John.
Oh, I love it.
And you know what was crazy? I basically said no to him when it came time for me to you know, when he asked me about the tour.
Yeah.
Because I was working on my band's record,
Right.
my band, The Chronicle, at the time.
Right.
And I didn't think back then that you could get out of doing something like that to go on a tour.
Right.
Like, we could have easily done both things, but I told him, I'm like, I'm working on my band's record. I ain't know no better.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, I would love to do this. I mean, I just opportunity of a lifetime, but I'm gonna have to say I can't do it, you know?
Wow. So you turned down Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
That's some
Should
pretty.
have never done that.
That's some pretty badass shit, though.
Man.
I don't know too many cats that can say that.
Man, I can't say turn down. I just said I couldn't do
You
it.
said, yeah, okay.
You know, I don't even want to ever say that I turned down Michael Jackson.